Okay, so it's been quite a few days since my last diary, so got quite a few things to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about Maugham's story, Somerset Maugham. And yes, the first thing is he says, "We will not be forgotten," Maugham says, uh, "if we write our stories or if we tell our stories. So it is through your stories that you are remembered." Well, that's a nice thought, but yeah, I'm not sure, Somerset. So far, I'm not convinced. Yes, the next topic is the futility of trying to help people. Why is it that when you try to help people, then they are so suspicious of you when you do that, that they will do something which makes you look bad so that they can, uh, excuse the fact that they don't actually believe your behavior is genuinely helpful, empathetic. It sounds a bit sad. Yeah, it really is. I think it's subconscious. I'm not saying people are sitting around, but subconsciously, people whom you help, sometimes they're so suspicious of your motives that they'll try and set a trap for you so that you behave badly and then they can write you off and they don't have to believe you really tried to help them at all. Sounds a bit complicated? Think it is. Yes, well, now we finally come to my pet topic, which is the mass media. And I'm trying to develop a program to deal with the mass media. And yeah, so far. So let's update. Let's have an update on that. So my suggestion is that there be punishment. Well, my first suggestion is that you completely, stop all mass media and destroy it. Well, yes, I accept that's not very practical. So let's look at plan B for that. And I suggest that there be a punisher for media that make mistakes. So this punisher will have the power to punish the media outlet that makes the mistake. So, yeah, for example, now let's look at a few mistakes. So, basically, for me, major mistakes which require punishment are things such as when the media decide to choose what they call news based on provoking emotions in the listener or the viewer so that the viewer will click and make money for the news provider. So that rules out about 99% of all media outlets, of course, because that's what they do. So, what is it that they do? Let's unpack it, as they say. I hate the word, but let's unpack it. What they do is they appeal to fear. They frighten the viewer or the listener with random violent events or catastrophes of man made or natural nature, either local or international, far and wide, it doesn't really matter, as long as it makes the listener and viewer frightened and therefore captures their interest and makes them click and watch it. So media outlets that do that should be automatically referred to the punisher, and the punisher can then immediately punish. There is no jury system here, no judge. There's only one punisher, and the automatic punishment is life imprisonment. Yes. Now there would be an appeals process so that yes, if you make an error, you do get a chance to convince the punisher on a regular basis. Let's say, I don't know, depending. The Punisher is a busy person, but it could be monthly or bi-monthly or every 6 months or maybe even every year. But you will get a chance to appeal your verdict from the Punisher. But it should be an automatic punishment. If you make an advertisement or a statement on the news that appeals to fear, tries to frighten the viewer, then you will be punished. Now, yeah, the same thing applies to if you try to excite the viewer and entertain them, make them laugh or some stupid thing. Basically, try to use their emotions to make money for you. So if you do that, yes, you'll end up with life imprisonment through the Punisher. Yes, you also will be given that punishment for trying to titillate the viewer by making silly jokes or just making them laugh, which really is a very difficult thing to do, in fact. Or, titillate, gossip, that sort of thing. Yes, of course, if you also try to frighten the viewer through violence, so you talk about the latest murder in the local community or in an international event, some random event somewhere that's violent, that will also be punishable by life imprisonment automatically. Yeah, well, you will get the appeal, you will be able to appeal it. And also if you try to frighten the viewer through reporting a crime, like, I don't know, some break-in some house somewhere or some crime, and whether it's local or international doesn't seem to matter. But if you do that, if you just randomly choose some event based on crime and trying to frighten the viewer, yes, you will be punished. Also, if you choose to report car crashes for the same reason, that's of absolutely no interest to anybody unless someone is personally involved in it. It's an appeal to the emotion of fear again. And if it's a car crash locally, or even worse, if it's internationally, you don't have no idea of knowing anybody involved, again, immediately punishable by life imprisonment. And it's automatic. There's no, that you will go into the prison immediately after this event. Within 24 hours, you will be in prison, and then you can try and appeal. Yes, of course. Also, other events which you are then chosen just to try to make the viewer feel empathetic, like a sad story of a puppy dog somewhere who's been abandoned. The viewer has no connection to this puppy dog, therefore feels impotent. Sort of fake empathy type event that also will be punishment by definitely life imprisonment. And of course, any random accident, natural disaster, earthquake, floods, bushfires, these sort of things, automatically life imprisonment. Unless, of course, you're giving the local area, if the event is in the local area, but not if it's outside it. So again, also other crimes which will be punishment by life imprisonment, I suggest should be exaggeration and sensationalization of events. So if we use words like incredible, when in fact the appropriate word is not incredible, it's simply a cliche, then again, I'm sorry, you will have to go to prison. And you will have to argue the case to the punisher for being released. Other crimes will include repetition. If a viewer feels that you have repeated the same event within a very short space of time, let's say even a few hours, but perhaps news could be repeated maybe twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, but anything in between that is not acceptable. You're certainly not allowed to repeat your events every 30 minutes, as you do now in the 24 hours news cycle. If you do that, you will also automatically be picked up and taken to prison. You can argue your case from there. Yes, even if you use photos in a story which are exploitative, showing people in great distress in order to get people to click on them, again, that's punishable by life imprisonment. Also, very important, if news anchors or reporters exhibit cognitive dissonance, that is, if they use a tone of voice which is inappropriate, then that will be punishable by life imprisonment. For example, if they're talking about an earthquake on the other side of the planet and they are trying to pretend that they are interested and that it is a sad event, well, I'm afraid that's what I call cognitive dissonance. The fact is, the anchor doesn't give a damn about those people on the other side of the planet, so it is not appropriate to use an empathetic tone. Sorry, that is not good. It is fake, basically, and it is teaching our children. Children will see through that very quickly, even though adults are probably used to it. So also, if we have one event, a sad and tragic event, followed by suddenly we've got a lovely feel-good story about a puppy dog which has been rescued, that's what I call a random disconnection between one event and the next in the news. That will also be punishable by life imprisonment. But again, you can argue your case against the punisher. Now, I suppose, finally, I would propose a class action against not just the news organizations like, ABC or BBC or CNN or whatever they are. My class action would be against also presenters, anchors, especially, and reporters, because you have to be responsible for what you do. And I would propose that there should be money available to help any viewer take and organize a class action against the news organization, or indeed personally against the anchor or the reporter who exhibits any of these things which I've just listed, any of them, because these days you have to be personally responsible and accountable for your actions. Okay, I think that's all for today.